Bursting through the front door into the early summer evening, I felt the breeze on my skin, warm and soft, but instantly blowing my long hair across my face so I couldn't see. A frustrated mew flew from my lips as I continued to blindly run, raising a hand to drag my hair back from my eyes to clear my vision. Down the driveway or through the field, that was my only choice. I barely hesitated, diverting my feet towards the relative safety of the tall wheat crop to my right. At least in the field he wouldn't be able to jump in his car and drive after me. A loud, furious bellow behind me broke the peace of the evening and made every single hair on my body stand up in fear. Fuck, he was coming. I'd hope it would take him longer to get up and get his trousers back on. I barely had a head start on him, and I knew from experience that he was a fast runner. Too fast. The cut on my temple from his punch stung, and sweat began to pop on my forehead as I urged my legs to move quicker, my arms pumping desperately at my sides to try and propel me forwards. Usually a good runner, I found that tonight fear was paralysing my lungs and stopping me from breathing properly. Instead, I was gasping and stuttering, panting so desperately that it seemed to be echoing in my ears. Finally, I reached the edge of the crop, ducking my head as I began to blast my way through. Pointy ears of wheat stabbed at my arms and face, surprisingly vicious for their small size, but I ignored the scratches and threw my hands out in front to help clear a path through the stems. My pulse was hammering in my ears, and my breathing was ragged and wheezy, but I heard the exact second that Greg joined me in the crop. The crunching and smashing of the wheat stalks behind me was unmistakable, as was the sound of his heavy, determined breathing as he began to gain on me. Shit, shit, shit. What had I been thinking coming in the field? I was disorientated and isolated. At least on the driveway I would have stood a chance of making it onto the main road and signalling down a car for help. It was too late now, and as the helplessness of my situation fully dawned on me, panic surged up my spine, making me lightheaded. My feet stumbled on a lumpy root, and before I even realised it I was tumbling forwards, my arms flailing as I tried and failed to regain my footing. Given the speed I had been running, I hit the ground with considerable force, and any remaining air in my useless lungs was forced from me in a sharp exhalation as my ribs connected with the hard soil. I saw stars before my eyes, my body shocked and my vision swimming, but my brain was still alert enough to urge me on, and I was up on my knees and crawling almost as soon as I had fallen. The rough ground cut at my hands and knees as I tried to push back to standing while still scrabbling forwards, but then I felt an iron grip on my ankle and knew it was too late. He'd caught me. A high-pitched scream left my lungs, but knowing it was useless out here in the middle of nowhere, I saved my breath and began to fight. There was a second or two of battling, my free leg desperately stamped out in an attempt at kicking him to free myself, but gradually his strength overcame me, and I felt myself being dragged towards him. Greg was swearing now. Drops of his spittle landed on my scratched bare arms as he called me all sorts of filthy words and muttered exactly what he was going to do with me now he'd caught me. It made me shudder to my core, silent tears sliding across my cheeks and falling helplessly to the dry ground as his words washed over me in terrifying waves. They were dirty and violent and too much for me to take in, so my mind seemed to switch my hearing off. For some reason, as I lay there sprawled on my stomach, I noticed just how much dirt was embedded under my fingernails. That would take ages to wash out, and I didn't own a nail brush. There was blood, too. Why such an insignificant detail was stuck in my mind I had no idea, but it was better than listening to his vile words. Perhaps I just needed something mundane to focus on to ground me from my terror. Strong fingers bit into my shoulders, gripping hard and yanking me over onto my back as he smirked down at me. "Gotcha! You know I love the thrill of the chase, babe." Dropping to his knees, he grabbed my wrists into one of his huge hands and smashed his lips down onto my mouth so violently that I felt my top lip split under the pressure. Blood leaked into my mouth, tangy and coppery, as I fought to turn my head away. Greg leant up. A smear of my crimson blood flared across his triumphant face like a proud battle scar. "I'm really going to enjoy this." My body went limp at the determination in his voice. There was no point fighting him. I was pinned below his wiry strength and totally useless without my hands. His free hand skimmed down my arm, across my breast, fondly.